Well, I can tell you that this particular episode is not how I wanted to start it, as the breaking news just came out about longtime legendary coach John Madden of the Oakland Raiders, then Oakland Raiders, has passed away and 85 years old, and surprising to everyone, Willie Epting Jr., Ballers Report podcast, Warzone Sports Network. We're going to get to John Madden here in the interim, but we're also going to talk state of NEOH, which is the state of Northeast Ohio. I have Rachel Hill coming on here in just a second. Marshawn Powers will be joining us as well. So we're going to talk about the Raiders and what they did to Cleveland on that Monday night or that Sunday. No, was it? Oh, it was Tuesday night because of the COVID thing that all is just, oh my gosh, COVID. Oh my gosh. 2022 COVID is what it is. So we're going to get to that, and we're going to talk a little bit of NBA as well. But yeah, John Madden, 85 years young, no longer with us. And I can tell you that I am a huge fan of one John Madden. And look, we appreciate you guys checking us out on Facebook Live. No, I'm sorry. Warzone Sports Network YouTube channel, as well as the Shakeback Media Group and the Shakeback Media Group Twitter feed. Follow us there. Follow all of us there, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, as we have content uploaded at least 2 or 3 times a week. So before I bring Rachel in and Marshawn joins us, you already know what we got to do. You already know what it is. So let's go and get it. Here we go.
Right about now, you're about to be possessed by the sounds.
Yeah, I know what it is. You little suckers get to talking, grabbing out walking, strapped to the pong of their jaws and smacking they sleep with the golfers. And they getting greedy like saying, give me all.
Everybody, you already know what it is when you hear that music. It is another episode of the Ballers Report podcast, presented to you by the Warzone Sports Network. I am your humble host, Willie Epting Jr. I'm going to bring her in right now. She is my sissy from another missy. She is the lead host of Her in the Huddle. She is the First Lady of Sports, Northeast Ohio, Delta Sigma Theta, also a graduate of the of the Ohio State University. And I am talking about none other than Rachel Hill. Rachel, I'm glad you can make it. What's going on, sissy?
Nothing. How are you?
Well, I'm a little sad. Actually, I'm a lot of sad because the news came out a little bit earlier on Tuesday. Actually later in the day on Thursday or Tuesday rather, that John Madden has passed away. We're going to get your thoughts about that here in just a few minutes. I wanted to actually really just pay homage to that guy, because even though, John Madden is one of those people that even though you've never met him in person, you feel like you know him. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if you're a gamer or not, but I once was. And so describe to everybody out there what your thought or your feeling was when you first heard the news that John Madden had passed away at the age of 85.
You're just like, oh wow, because his voice. I always think about Frank Caliendo doing one of the best John Madden impersonations out there, and how he nailed it. But you just think about that voice, and that if John Madden was on the game, calling the game, it was a huge game. So just a legendary coach, legendary broadcaster, and millions of guys who weren't alive for him to really I'd say when he probably was a sportscaster, or there's so many young people who play Madden, that's how they know of him, is by the video game. So a lot of fans have connected with him through his video games. So it's just a huge loss for the football world, one of the icons and legends. So very sad to hear, and condolences to his family and everyone who knew and loved him.
Yeah, no doubt. And I could tell some stories about John Madden as though I did actually meet him, even though I never have. But just from a standpoint of what he did as a coach on the NFL football field, 105 wins, I think, in 32 losses. one of the best winning percentages ever for a coach. He prematurely retired at the age of 42, which threw a lot of people off. I mean, it threw a lot of people off. 7 AFC championship appearances. Of course, he had the world title with the Raiders in 1977. And one thing I can, or a couple of things I can tell you about that guy was when we lived in Oakland back in the day. There were a couple of players on his squad, John Matusek and Rob Martin, instantly come to mind because when I was in elementary school at Burkhalter Elementary, right there at the intersection of what was our street? Burkhalter and Sunnymere in East Oakland. He allowed for those guys to come and play in a Raiders versus Burkhalter Dads game back in I want to say 78. And I remember my dad playing against those guys. And I thought of my dad as a really, really cool athlete that could play basketball, football, and baseball. However, going up against John Matusek, who was like 6'5" and every bit of over 300 pounds, when my dad took it to the paint, he was Dikembe Mutombo before Dikembe Mutombo was Dikembe Mutombo, because he swatted my dad's layup so far out of the court or off the court. I was like, oh my gosh. And then another cool thing that I remember about John Madden and admire about him was when they did a Miller Lite commercial. And John Madden was a gentle giant, but they portrayed him in this particular commercial as a meanie. So at the end of the commercial, they had the little banner thing that, all teams run out to and they tear it open. He did that in the Miller Lite commercial. And I was like, man, this dude here is funny. But yeah, most people, Rachel, as you said, will remember him as a broadcaster. Him and Pat Summerall as a team were the number one team for I want to say it was CBS before they actually got bought out or got contracted with Fox. And so many Super Bowls they did together that included some Raiders teams in 1980 as well as in 1983 or 84, rather, the season of 83, but the Super Bowl in 84 when the Raiders won their last championship as a member or in the city of Los Angeles. And John Madden, of course, the game, Madden itself, he probably will be remembered more for that with the younger generation than his coaching skills and what he did on the sidelines. So I echo the sentiments that you just so eloquently uttered in terms of his family and condolences and prayers out to all that were connected to him. I know Troy Aikman and Brett Favre, and you mentioned Frank Caliendo and just countless of other people that have had the privilege of actually working with John Madden. And then those of us that are fans of the game and fans of that game that was named after him. It's just so very, very sad. And Fox Network just did a special on him this past Christmas. I have not had a chance to check it out, but I certainly will. And when you think about the game of the Madden game itself, you think about the curses and, the first time they had a co-cover with Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, all those great things, man, that he displayed as a person in the game of football. And unfortunately, not having to have met him in person, we only can go by, or we can mostly go by what we've seen in terms of what he did on the football field and the legacy he has left for the game of for the NFL. So rest in peace. John Madden unexpectedly passed away. Nobody saw this coming. And I think that is the most shocking thing, is when we don't expect it coming and then all of this happens. So, Rachel, any final thoughts on John Madden, Coach Madden?
It's just a sad day in football. Didn't he also craft the word turducken as well, too?
I mean, he may have.
I think that was another thing he crafted, too, the turducken.
Yeah, and the thing too is that Mike Fratello in the NBA was considered to be the czar of the telestrator, and I think that John Madden was the first to actually use the telestrator as in a means to make us look like or make us feel like we were actually at the game. And then when he used those doinks and the pows and all those other great sound effects, that just, I don't know, it just for me it made me feel like I was actually there, you know. So once again, rest in peace, John Madden. Prayers out to his family and the football world and everybody that was connected to him, whether, you know, if it was directly or indirectly, which includes us, because we actually have some fond memories of Coach Madden. All right, Rachel. So let's get into the state of NEOH. It's been a while. First of all, I hope you had a great Christmas and happy belated birthday to you as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope you
You
had
know
a
you,
wonderful holiday too.
yeah, you know you my girl, man. And you know, we share some things off air that will remain off that will remain off air. Um, but yeah, so I hope everybody, or we hope everybody out there had a Merry Christmas as well, and looking forward to 2022 as it is rapidly approaching us. So there's been a couple games that have been played since we actually last talked, whether it was on Her in the Huddle or here on the Ballers Report podcast or any medium involving the Shakeback Media Group. So let's go back to week 15, where the Raiders invaded Northeast Ohio for the second straight year. This game was postponed to a Tuesday after being flexed, or actually being originally scheduled for Saturday night. And I remember I was supposed to be out there, but due to a lot of issues, I wasn't able to make it. And it's a good thing too. That's how you know God works. Because if I'd have got that ticket and got that plane ride out there, I would have missed the game because there was no game. So, Rachel, your team, with all due respect and in defense of them, they did have a multitude of players out due to the COVID protocols, but the Raiders did walk into, what is it, First Energy Stadium, right there by the lake, came out with a 17-13 victory over your Browns. What was the idea or the attitude in Cleveland or Northeast Ohio after this game?
I don't believe in moral victories, but a lot of people felt like this was a moral victory due to the circumstances, and it was a game that we had the opportunity to win and pull off. You know, you get an interception of Derek Carr with, you know, just a couple minutes left in the game. You think that this team would be able to get, you know, a first down in 3 tries, and they weren't able to, and they handed the ball back to Derek Carr, and, you know, he drove down the field, and we all know that a field goal sealed the deal for them. So they were able to get out of here. It was an amazing stat. I can't remember what it was, but I think the Raiders have beat us. You know, maybe we've played them, I think maybe 3 out of 4 years, and they've been able to beat us. So the Raiders have had our number and kind of played spoiler a little bit for us. They beat us last year when we had 11-5 record. They were able to come into Cleveland and kind of do the same thing, except for their running game was on it in a game that, you know, featured some terrible weather. But, you know, understandably, there were some players from Las Vegas who were mad about this game being pushed back. But, you know, that I forgot who is JC Treader is the union president. And his stance was he wanted players to get paid because they were going to cancel the game and nobody was going to get paid. So at the end of the day, it kind of helped the Raiders that the game got pushed back instead of canceled, which is what the NFL originally wanted to do. So players got paid. I'm sure that's what they wanted to do more than anything. I think they also felt like it was advantageous to JC Treader because he played on the Browns. But, you know, you have to look at the situation in totality. You know, you have a whole squad that's out, almost 23 players that's out due to COVID. I mean, yeah, I understand you want to kick an opponent while they're down, but, you know, come on, let's, you know, come on. You know, you want to play a depleted team. I get that, you know, for easier victory. And, you know, the Browns almost won. You know, they have some special teams issues, and, you know, their kicker missed a field goal, which could have been the difference if he had made it. And, you know, y'all field goal kicker, I can't remember what his name was, but he had ice in his veins and he nailed that kick twice in a row. So, you know, hats off to him for doing his job and doing what he needed to do. But, you know, the Raiders have came in here and had our number. But, you know, I think, you know, everybody will look back at this game and be like, this was a COVID game. And, you know, could the outcome have been different? I don't know. You know, but we know what it is as of right now. So hats off to your team for coming in here and getting the win.
Yeah, hats off to my team for going in there and getting a win. And let me tell you this, Rachel, and the fact that when
Mm-hmm.
you look back at a game like this,
Mm-hmm.
when you look back at a game like this,
Mm-hmm.
in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20 years, nobody's going to care that there was a COVID outbreak for the Browns. And
Mm-hmm.
simply
Says who?
put,
Cleveland fans will remember that to the day we die.
well, Cleveland fans still remember the bungo that was Tim Couch. So that's
We had worse
I'm,
bunkers than Tim Couch.
yeah, well, that's true. But what I'm saying is that from a football fan standpoint, around the universe of football, nobody's gonna even remember or care. And the Raiders were without some very important players as well, not due to COVID, but just due to injury. And when Derek Carr threw that interception, and Marshawn Powers has just joined us, we're gonna bring him here in just a second. But when Derek Carr threw that interception with less than 3 minutes left to go in the game, you can ask Patrice. I was like, I can't believe this fool. But at the same time, I'm in a group of a lot of different Raiders groups on Facebook, and
Oh,
people have
are
been
you?
roasting. Yeah, people have been roasting Derek Carr, for the longest. But a lot of the problems that, really, many of the problems that the Raiders have had, truly has not been his fault. Um, so yeah, it was a big, big, big win for us coming off of a loss at home against the Washington football team. And then Cleveland, of course, were really definitely in the mix in terms of the AFC North. Let's go ahead and bring in Marshawn Powers. Before we actually get your thoughts on the Cleveland Raider game, we want to talk to you about the passing of one John Madden, as Rachel and I have discussed it here in the first part of the show, but we want to go ahead and get your thoughts on it as well, as he passed away at the age of 85.
Um, I think it's pretty tragic. It happened unexpectedly at the last at the was sleep. I just woke up when I actually read the news, so it's pretty crazy what actually happened to him. I mean, it, I don't know how the game Madden stays the same without the John Madden being around. So I'm curious on what's gonna happen with that and everything. But man, unexpected, man, rest in peace, unexpectedly.
Yeah, and I think the game will continue to move forward and evolve because, yeah, John Madden is of course, the name behind it, but just like everything else, man, you have to understand, and we have to believe that there's a team, a phenomenal team in place for that matter, where that game is really like a franchise. It's kind of like one of those movies that never ends, i.e., the Fast and the Furious and Halloween. I mean, those movies have been around for 20 plus years, and the game of Madden itself is not going anywhere whatsoever. All right, Marshawn, I hope you had a great Christmas. Happy New
Yeah,
Year to you coming up. As you can see, our sissy is with us. She just celebrated a birthday, so I know you want to wish her a happy birthday as well.
most certainly. Happy birthday, Rachel.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
Marshawn.
And she's 1 year more seasoned, as we all are. So we were talking about the Raider Browns game. So I want to get your thoughts about that, and kind of just reflect a little bit on what you actually saw and how you actually feel.
Honestly, in the first half, I had no hope. I mean, yeah, you see all the jokes that I was sending in that group chat. Felt like it was the Raiders versus Bishop Sycamore. Like I don't think that team had any shot in the first half. Couldn't get nothing going offensively. Couldn't even get a third down converted offensively. So I felt like they had no shot. But I mean, it was, how can I say it? It was pretty dope to see, them finally without Kevin Stefanski to come out in the second half and put up a fight, and take it down to the last second. And I mean, you seen a quarterback who actually, with the ball in his hands in the last second, and you need a touchdown out of him to actually see him converted in Nick Mullins versus number 6. I'm refrain from saying his name, but yeah. So I think I mean the state of the Browns right now is like I mean, everybody's panicking, but they kind of feel like, oh, we still have one last chance, you know. So until that last chance is taken away from the team, the fans, the city, I think everybody's kind of okay before falling off the edge, before going to the full blown panic mode and going to that. So, um, I mean, hey, I kind of checked out on the team after we lost to the Raiders. So, I mean, it is what it
I forgot to even
is.
mention Nick Mullins, how he came in here and was at a G, almost won the game for us. You know, he did exactly what he was asked to do, which wasn't much, and managed the game, and he still almost pulled it out. But
Yeah,
you know, it didn't happen. So you know, shout out to him for getting in there and not not messing it up. You know, he did everything to put us in the position to win, and you know, like Marshawn said, you know, you actually have somebody have the ball in their hands and be able to pull off a game-winning drive, like I mentioned before, something that the Browns ain't been able to do.
it's
So
crazy how when you put a backup in, like Case Keenum and Nick Mullins, they don't turn the ball over. But you know, the starting quarterback, I mean, goodness gracious, that man turned the ball over if he get any opportunity he can.
Right. And think looking back on the game and the history of Nick Mullins himself, the last start he had was against the Raiders when he was with the 49ers, and he handed it to the Raiders for real. So I was nervous about that. I wasn't tripping about the fact that Cleveland had so many players out, but when you throw in your really your practice squad quarterback, I mean, there's no pressure on him whatsoever. And the game plan is going to be simplified and put him in the best position to be successful. And then on top of that, there's no film study for Nick Mullins, even though he did have that game against the Raiders. I want to say it was back in 2018, where I mean that game was on a Thursday night, and he just shredded the Raiders defense for real, for real. But yeah, man, I thought that Derek Carr showed a lot of character after throwing that interception and then leading the team down to get into field goal range, and then Daniel Carson, Rachel, that's our kicker's name, hit that game winning kick. And Daniel Carson should be a Pro Bowler. I don't know if he's actually got voted to the Pro Bowl, but he should be a Pro Bowler because he's made some huge kicks. In the very first game against the Ravens, he kicked a 55-yarder to send the game into overtime, and then of course we know what happened after that. And then he beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving with a shorter field goal, but yeah, it was still a pressure packed kick, and he made that sucker. So, but let me ask y'all about this, and I'm gonna go to you, Rachel, first, because even though the Browns are at 7-8 and they've lost 2 straight games, the last game, of course, against the Green Bay Packers, of which they were down big and then mounted a comeback, and then Baker Mayfield did not have that great of a game again. They still have it all out in front of them. I mean, they have the Steelers left and they have the Bengals left. And if they can get both of those victories, what happens? They could actually still get that division, yes?
shockingly, yes, but they need a whole bunch of help. When you know, and we talked about this before. The games that come back to haunt him, not being able to finish games out. You can look at this Raider game, not being able to get a first down in this game. You look back at the Chiefs game. You look back at the Chargers game, not being able to hold on to wins and allowing those teams to come back in the fourth quarter. You know, there's a series, you know, a whole host of issues of why that happened, but you know, those games were desperately needed. I mean, even you know, they almost beat the Green Bay Packers. They, you know, had the ability. I wasn't able to watch the whole game because, you know, celebrating the holiday, I was only able to, you know, glimpse bits and pieces. But, you know, they finally, once again, scored over 17 points, which is something that had been hard for them to do. And they were almost toe to toe. And unfortunately, Baker, you're not going to win a game with a plus minus ratio of 4 turnovers, Baker Mayfield throwing interceptions. It's not going to happen against a good team, and Aaron Rodgers is going to beat you every time. But yeah, they're almost in control of their own destiny. They need a little bit of help, but they got to get these 2 games. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. You know, I want to be hopeful and positive, but I don't know if they're going to be able to go into Pittsburgh. You know, they were able to in the playoff game last year. That was different. There was no fans. It was COVID. You know, they were able to go in there and get that win. I don't know if they're going to be able to be able to do it this year, with that defense that plays the way it does. And, they get up for big games. They get up against the Cleveland Browns for whatever reason. The Pittsburgh's offense is kind of terrible. Big Ben is kind of terrible. This might be, his final season. Hopefully it is. I think it's time for him to move on. And then the way that Cincinnati is playing, they're hot right now. So I don't know if they're going to be able to beat Cincinnati and Cleveland when Cincinnati comes. But that's one team that the Cleveland Browns always plays well against. So we'll see, and they've been a matchup nightmare for the Cincinnati Bengals. So we'll see what happens. But I don't know. I don't think that they'll be able to make the playoffs. I just don't think they'll be able to win the division either when they have plenty of opportunities to do so. And it's their fault that they're not going to win it.
Marshawn.
Man, even if they win the division, it's like, okay, who you gonna go up against, either New England or Indianapolis in the first round. I'm not confident in playing either one of those teams. A hot Indianapolis team and Bill Belichick, who for some reason, I don't know what grudge he got against the Browns, man. I mean, Art Modell has been dead for some time now, but he
Willie said he don't got no grudge against the Browns.
Yes, he do.
I keep on trying to tell you. Yeah,
I said that.
He cannot stand the Browns organization.
Somebody said it.
It might
I
have
just put it on Willie.
No, to go up against either one of them, I don't feel confident. I said it to one of my guys that's a Bengals fan. I honestly think the Bengals are more deserving right now. They're playing better. They look better. I know I sound crazy, but I want the Bengals to go to the playoffs. They're a more exciting team than the Browns right now. How? It's not low performance. Listen,
you being flat out disrespectful right about now.
The Bengals have a 4,000-yard passer, a 1,000-yard rusher, and 2, soon to be 3, 1,000-yard receivers. All right there telling me that they look better than the Browns right now. Joe Burrow's better than Baker Mayfield. Joe Mixon is not better than Nick Chubb, but he's having just as impactful of a year. And then the receiving game is goodness gracious. So, I don't know. We'll see.
This is what I told y'all about 3 weeks ago when you, Rachel, said that the Browns were going to win the division. And you, Marshawn, yes, you did. Don't make me go pull the tape. As a matter of fact, iTunes, Spotify, as well as Google Podcasts. It's there. Go back and listen to it. And you, Marshawn Power, said that I believe the Browns are going to win the AFC North. And I said, hold up, wait a minute. Let me tell you why they're not going to win it. The reason why they're not going to win it is because in the 3 most important positions on offense, the Bengals are better than anybody else in that division. Joe Burrow is better than I won't say he's better than Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson ain't playing right now. So, yeah, he's better than whoever they got. He's better than Ben Roethlisberger. He's better than Baker Mayfield. And the receivers for the Cincinnati Bengals are better than anybody else in that division. I'll give you the fact that Nick Chubb may have a neck above Joe Mixon. But the thing with that, though, is that we anticipated and believed that the Cleveland Browns offensive line was one of the best in the NFL. And even though they have performed greatly and due to, injury issues as well as COVID, I said it 3 weeks ago, and I do not back up off it. Now, the adopted team that I have, and thank you guys for taking me on as an adopted fan for the Cleveland Browns. I appreciate that. I really hope they do it. And I think they still can, because Lamar is still going to be out for week 17. Ben Roethlisberger and that crew, we don't really expect a whole lot from them. So if somehow the Browns can get back to running the ball the way that we have normally used to seeing them do it, and the Ravens get a loss, because the Browns and the Ravens have what? They split this year, correct?
Yes.
So if the Browns get the last 2 victories and the Ravens happen to lose again, and I don't know who they have left on the schedule, and they beat Cincinnati, they would have swept Cincinnati. So there, it's right in front of them. I'm gonna be a little bit more optimistic, like just like Natalie Turk about the Cleveland Guardians, Indians, whoever y'all are up there now. Way back in the beginning of the baseball season, I told her I'm gonna help you talk Indians fans off the ledge. I'm gonna talk you and Rachel Marshawn off the ledge and be like, yo, the Browns can still do it. Look at Rachel's face.
I don't believe it.
They need too much help.
Not really.
But they actually have to win their games too, and that's a whole nother thing. They have to win their games.
So the Steelers game is very winnable. Yes.
If they play perfectly, yes.
They don't have to play perfectly because
yes, they do.
The Steelers.
The Steelers can be 0-15. The Browns can be 11-0. Oh no, 15-0. I still believe the Steelers will beat the Browns.
But they don't have to play perfect to beat them, though. I mean, you got to think about that statement that you made. On the other side is being Roethlisberger. Okay, and on the other side is that offensive line that is like a turnstile.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys are selling your team short, man. I really believe that you guys are.
I'm selling what they're giving us right now, which is nothing.
But look what they've done, though. They've already beaten this. Oh no, they lost to the Steelers earlier in the year, but they've already beaten. They blew out Cincinnati in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that game wasn't. It was a blowout by score, but it wasn't a blowout by play. Let's be honest. If Joe Burrow would have been playing like he is right now and not going for the home run ball with Jamar Chase, they would have beat the Browns. They would have beat the Browns that game. But now you see now he's getting more of T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Chase in. Now they're pretty much unstoppable at this point.
Well, I got enough enthusiasm and optimism for both of y'all, and for everybody out there in Cleveland, to include you two, as well as Kate Arhar, Cleveland Kate, as well as Natalie Turk, as well as Zach Shafron and John Suchan. All you guys out there, I have enough faith and belief that the Browns are still very much in it. So with that being said, that's the state of Northeast Ohio. The state of Vegas, which is, of course, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders have the Indianapolis Colts in week 17 before finishing up against the Los Angeles Chargers. Did y'all see the game again, or did you see about the game that the Chargers lost to the Houston Texans? Who expected that?
Nobody.
Not me. Nobody. So, look, this is what baffles me, because right now the Raiders are sitting, I want to say, in the 9 hole, maybe the 10 hole. But above the Raiders, the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Dolphins. Okay, the Dolphins have won, 8 in a row, 7 in a row, something like that. But the Raiders beat the Dolphins and the Ravens. So how are those two teams ahead of the Raiders? I don't get that.
Because y'all not under 500.
No, everybody's 8-7, and we beat them teams.
Mm-hmm.
Any tiebreakers in there?
The tiebreaker is head-to-head. That's the first tiebreaker. So look at it like this. It's the Dolphins are in the playoffs right now, okay? And then it's the Chargers. Then it's the Ravens. Then it's the Raiders, okay? How in the world does that happen? Now, the Chargers did beat the Raiders, and I think the Chargers beat the Ravens, and the Dolphins lost to the Ravens, if I'm not mistaken, and they lost to the Raiders. It's ridiculous. I think, look, dig up Al Davis, because they still got it out for him.
Yeah, man. I don't know what y'all did, man. Who y'all upset, but
it's just I don't know, man. All right. So we're gonna move on to the NBA. The state of the Cavs. Bernie Bickerstaff, or what's his name? Bernard. JB
JB.
Bickerstaff has gotten the extension. How do you guys feel about him getting this extension after everybody in Cleveland and Northeast Ohio and hashtag Cavs Nation was ready to run him out of town?
I never was ready to run. JB was never my problem. I never felt like JB had the roster. My problem was always with Kobe and his genius moves that he was making a few times. So, I mean, I guess people can say that I was wrong for wanting Kobe out. JB's doing fine. I think the Cavs they're doing fine. I think, in the city of Cleveland, you got a lot of people overreacting right now. I could finally say it now because we on the sports show, but I honestly feel like a lot of people are still overreacting about the Cavs. I mean, you got people. I mean, I literally was listening to a radio show earlier. I wanted to throw my car radio out the window because this guy was just blatantly tripping. But he was just pretty much saying like the Cavs are good enough to where they can beat teams like Chicago and teams like Miami. And I'm just like, man, the Cavs have not beat a team healthy, like fully healthy 100%. They have not beat a team yet. They lost twice to Brooklyn. They lost to Milwaukee with Giannis. They beat Miami twice, yes, but they didn't have Jimmy. They didn't have Bam. So my thing is, the only thing that I feel about the Cavs is like, yes, you're beating the teams you're supposed to beat. I mean, I'm looking at the score right now. They're beating New Orleans with virtually nobody on their team. They got a bunch of G League guys, and they're up almost 20 on them. So, I mean, that's good and dandy, but in order for me to feel like you're on that trajectory, I want to see you beat good teams like healthy, like the Lakers, because they're falling apart. I want to see you beat Brooklyn. I want to see you beat Philly. I want to see you beat Golden State. Things of that nature. That way I know that you're on the right trajectory. But if they make the playoffs, I look at it as, that's a overachievement for this team, because I think that realistically I still see them anywhere between the 7th to 9th seed finishing out the season. But I mean, they're playing good. They're looking good. They still got a hole. They still need either a two guard like a Karis LeVert, or I mean, my dream guy is Brandon Ingram. But if I feel like they get one of those guys, then that's virtually probably one of the toughest teams to beat in the East. So, I mean, keep looking out for them.
Yeah, and I don't know if the way that the New Orleans Pelicans are going right now, who knows when Zion's coming back. And just let me say this for the record. Zion Williamson is a bust.
No.
Zion Williamson is a bust. I said it. I said it when he came out of Duke. I said it when they took him number 1 overall, that he was not going to have the career that people thought he was going to have. I said it, and I stand by it. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm wanting the kid to to fail. That's right, Big Rican on Sports, Mike Martinez. Y'all know Mike, big time Ohio State fan, blah. Also big time Mets fan. And yeah, he says preach, brother, because what I'm saying right now is the gospel when it comes to Zion Williamson. He's had a setback. He's not going to come back at least until the All-Star break, if I'm not mistaken. And even when he does come back, it's going to take him that much longer to even get into basketball game shape. So I'm like, yo, what's the point? I mean, yeah. Okay, so Rachel, back to you in terms of the Cavs. What do you think about what Marshawn said and where they are right now as far as their performance?
I like the direction that they headed in. I like that they locked up JB Bickerstaff. I like what Kobe's doing because he's looking like a genius now, where he made some questionable moves in the past, but it's all coming together. A lot of the talk is will they be able will have, I guess the talks for Ben Simmons has opened back up, but the price is going to be too high for him. So we have a good young core where I don't know where I see them finishing at. I think Marshawn made some great points about not beating fully healthy teams, but that's why you play the game. And who knows what happens when you face those teams later and everybody is fully healthy. I'm believing in this Cavs team. They're really good. They're winning a lot of games on the road. I still think that their road record is better than their home record. So they're able to go into different arenas and beat these teams. And When we was talking football, Marshawn was talking about that the Cincinnati Bengals deserve. Professional sports isn't about it deserve; it's about earning. And the Cavs are earning their wins, and they'll continue to, do so. And they could possibly be third, fourth seed going into the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. Big Mike says this team better without Colin Sexton. I think yeah, because him and Darius have two different styles of playing, and I think Darius leads the team more with team and the team basketball aspect as opposed to Colin, where Colin get his buckets and that's just going to be that. So I don't know if it's more team basketball when you have Colin in there. So you've seen this team gel together and play together as a team. So I think they play better with Darius Garland, and you can build a team around Darius Garland and not Colin Sexton.
Is this team better without Colin? No, because Colin gives you extra scoring off the bench. You know what I mean? With the current state of the team and how the team is built, I mean, Darius Garland hasn't been healthy every year he's been in the league. So you got a guy like Colin that can. I've always felt like Colin was like a Lou Williams type of player, where you come off the bench, you give him 25 to 30, and you go ride in the sunset. So I think if they had Colin, this team would probably be a bigger threat than what it is because you only have, in my opinion, two scoring guards on your team. And we all know the NBA is a guard-driven league, and that's Garland and Ricky Rubio. You have no other guards on that team that's a threat for scoring. So I think if you had Colin would definitely that's 16 anywhere between 16 to 20 points that you can add on to that team.
I forgot he on the team.
Because listen, I know I may sound like an outsider, but I mean, a lot of Cleveland fans team to, try to I don't know how to say it because they did it with Odell, man. I hate this question where is a team or a player better when somebody gets hurt? Because I mean, Colin was averaging almost 25 last year. I mean, if you gave the Colin a green light off the bench, this team would be a little bit more dangerous, in my opinion.
Well, I'll say it like this. I mean, in terms of who they've played, it's not their fault that those guys, the other team's guys, were out with injuries. And as we know, that when another team's players or star players or impact players are out, a team has a tendency to play downward, and they didn't do that. So credit to Coach Bickerstaff for that. I believe that everything that the Cavs are doing right now is highly above what was expected. And I think that you guys should ride the wave out there in Cleveland and wherever else there are Cavs fans available or that are located, that just ride the wave, because it could be the opposite. It could be what the Lakers are doing, or in this case, really what they're not doing. And I think it's safe to say that the Lakers are a way more talented team than the Cavs, but we see what the Lakers are doing, and who knows? I mean, they may think they can turn on the switch come March, but at this time, I have no confidence in what the Lakers are doing. So, all right, guys, before we get out of here, we got about 5 minutes left. I was going to ask you guys for your top 3 stories of 2021, whether it was on the court, off the court, on the field, off the field, on the diamond, off the diamond, whatever the case may be. But can you guys just go ahead and give your number one story from 2021? I know it's a loaded question, but for the sake of time, I'm asking you to do that for me. Rachel, go.
COVID is still impacting our daily lives, and it's not going away.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the cases are on the rise. Omicron has become the dominant variant, and I guess the saving grace is that it's affecting people who are not vaccinated. Not that that's anything to worth celebrating, but for those people out there that are vaccinated and boosted, the chances of you sustaining or experiencing the more severe symptoms with Delta, and then of course the initial variant is likely to be nil. So, but yeah, I mean, it's still throwing off a whole bunch of stuff. And our office for the JOB, and I say J just O over B broke, just over broke. has pushed back the date to go back to the office indefinitely. So, Marshawn, your biggest story of 2021 inside or outside the sports world?
I'm gonna have to go with Demaryius Thomas passing away. A guy who I pretty much followed his career from being drafted to the Denver Broncos to retirement. It seems like yesterday he was just drafted out of Georgia Tech. That probably wasn't my number one, but that definitely was on my list. Of somebody who was so young, so talented. To pass away suddenly from a seizure, which is kind of shocking to me this year.
Yeah, no doubt. And my biggest story is going to continue to be the hypocrisy that remains in the National Football League. I mean, we've seen it with Aaron Rodgers and Antonio Brown. As you guys are aware, I will be producing a show on the Shakeback Media Group that involves Chelsea Kyrus. She of course is the mother of Antonio Brown's children, and Liz Benavides, who is the director of public relations and sponsorship, or director of franchises and public relations for the Arena Professional Football League. And that whole thing with him being fined or him being suspended for 3 games and Aaron Rodgers only being fined 14 stacks was just ridiculous. But it's the NFL. And I know Liz and her group are really pushing towards making the APFL a viable outlet to the NFL. I know that the USFL as well as the XFL are doing their thing in terms of providing some options in terms of other leagues to watch. So I'm just like that, man. So, all right, guys, any final thoughts?
Brooklyn Nets gonna win the title. Kyrie is back. It's about to get ugly, man. It's about to get ugly for everybody. Just wanted to let y'all know. Kyrie is back. Hold on, I got something to show y'all right quick. Give me a second.
Oh gosh.
This is the MVP right here. Just wanted to show y'all. That's the MVP. That's his name. Just wanted to show y'all.
You must have just bought that today.
I actually got it out of a bet. Big Ricky just talked about it. Giannis delivering the title to Milwaukee. I actually won it on the bet because everybody picked Milwaukee. So,
all right, Rachel. Final thoughts.
I just hope that everyone has a, happy, healthy and safe New Year, and people can stick to their resolutions and just, overall, figure out a way to be better, do better, live better, and be more awesome than they were yesterday.
Amen to that. And my final thought is, let's be better tomorrow than we were yesterday in all phases of life. Happy New Year, everyone. For Marshawn Powers, for Rachel Hill, it's your boy Willie Epstein Jr. You've been watching and listening to the Ballers Report podcast, Warzone Sports Network. Y'all take care of each other. Y'all love each other, hug each other, and we'll talk to y'all again real soon. Peace. We out.